Right on. We've got Name It to Tame It, week 2, day 5. Name It to Tame It, I can't say that I came up with that clever little phrase there. That's Dan Siegel, a wonderful psychologist, by the way. If you want to know more about his stuff, I'd highly recommend looking him up. But this idea is rooted in neuroscience. So when we experience emotions, the amygdala, that's the part of our brain right back here, it's connected to our brainstem. Fight or flight lives there, and our emotional responses come from our amygdala. When we experience intense emotions, we get a lot of activity. It lights up when we have intense feelings. So they often refer to this as amygdala hijack. Like we'll get all ramped up and we won't be able to like quite come down, because the amygdala is not a thinking aspect of our brain. It's a reactive part of our brain. So what we're doing here is we're involving more thinking parts of our brains to help interface with that amygdala so that we can kind of calm ourselves down and get out of that loop and get out of that cycle. They've done studies, in fact, that using this Name It to Tame It can decrease the distress or the volatility that we feel of emotion by about 50%. If we can do anything to reduce anything by 50%, that's pretty rad, especially something as easy as this. So I love this one. So what we're doing here is we're first of all noticing an emotion. Pay attention to what you're feeling. Pretty straightforward. Now we name that emotion. We've got this handy dandy tool here on the back, which is our feeling wheel. This one is really, really helpful. If you're anything like me, you didn't get a real consistent or thorough education in what feelings are, or how to name them. So we get kind of caught up in mad, sad, glad territory of those are the only words that we have at our disposal. So this feeling wheel is super helpful. Dude, it's got just about every feeling on there. And then kind of helps you process them a little bit further by connecting them to a more integral, primal, maybe even feeling. So it kind of takes the varnish off some of the pretty words that we attach to feelings and connects them to a little bit bigger feelings. So we've got in the center of this wheel, we've got surprised, bad, we've got fearful, angry, disgusted, sad, happy. We're moving back to more simpler words, but we're coming to it through a more complex pattern, which really helps us. So try to be as specific as possible as you're naming this emotion. Now acknowledge the emotion. The way I like to think about this is it's Thanksgiving, you just sat down and the doorbell rings, and it's like the weird aunt that you really hoped wasn't going to be there. Oh, Aunt Dorothy, I don't know. So I'm so glad you came. Sometimes we have to fake it a little bit when we're acknowledging an emotion. Sometimes we have to do some emotional hospitality work, even if we don't really feel like it. And so if it does feel a little bit like Aunt Dorothy just showed up and you're just in your head, you're like, oh my God, that's okay. We want to recognize that it's okay to have these emotions, that the emotions, our response to this is valid, and that even though Aunt Dorothy is kind of a handful, it's okay that she's there. So if your feelings are Aunt Dorothy's, like some of mine are, feel free to use that image as you think through this. And then we're trying to investigate the emotion. Try to understand why you're feeling this way. A note here, tone is really important when it comes to investigating or kind of asking ourselves these questions. Why are you feeling that way? Versus, why are you feeling that way? Totally different meanings, same exact words. So as you're investigating these emotions, try and use that tone like I demonstrated of like, why are you feeling that way? There's openness there, there's curiosity. Even if she's kind of an Aunt Dorothy, we're trying our best to channel some compassion, channel some openness, and channel some emotional hospitality to extend to this emotion, even if it might be challenging. So think about tone rather than getting the exact question right. You can kind of feel how tone affects your body. Why are you feeling that way? Like, my body gets tense and kind of violent. Why are you feeling that way? I like sink into my chair. Your feelings will notice that, depending on what posture you have towards them. Hope you have fun with this one. Use that feeling wheel. My gosh, there's a kind of a cottage industry for therapists, and there's feeling wheels, there's posters, there's throw pillows, there are like flags, there just about everything. The feeling wheel is a beloved icon in the therapist world, and it's a tool I think you'll really appreciate and like.